What's up, guys? My name is MadSquash924. Welcome back to another episode of Night's Call. This is now part 19 of our Let's Play thus far, into our second run-through of this game, where we are trying to find the murderer. Hopefully, we can. Let's start off with this customer and see where it takes us. Nadia Bolanga and Yves Kila. Looks like there's two of them. A couple is getting into your taxi. A couple like you've seen so many times before. Attractive, a bit tipsy, drooping eyelids. He's already asleep. Must be about 20, maybe more. She's still smiling faintly, like the evening has had a lasting effect on her. She's older, maybe 40, 45. Alessia, right next to the movie theater. Very well. You pull away, leaving the street, the neighborhood behind. Passengers say nothing. When you downshift, you can hear the man's heavy snoring. The woman stares right at you. I beg your pardon, this may seem odd, but what do we look like? I mean, he and I. What do we look like? A couple. Thank you. She pauses. I happened upon two friends who were making fun of us tonight. We could be mother and son. It's stupid. She hesitates, and... Forget it. Let's drop it. Sorry to have bothered you with that. You look like a couple. Thank you, that's very kind of you. I don't think I've had a taxi driver who was so understanding before. I was serious. I am serious. She watches you for a while. You can see the hesitation in her eyes. And then she turns her head. I'm too defensive. It's unhealthy. It's not good. Not for me, nor for Yves. Her expression hardens. I love him more than anything, you know. People think they want to think he's some sort of toy. But he's not a toy. I did not choose him because he's young and chic. I love him, period. And you understand that. More than you think. What do you mean? I get what you're going through. She looks away. She regrets what she just said to you. But now that she started, she has to finish. I don't really know how to put words to what I actually feel. She takes a deep breath. Her throat shakes from all the air. Outside, the reflection of an interior design store appears in a frozen puddle. I think the problem is me. I don't need a mirror to see it. He's young, he's handsome, he's filled with energy from morning to night. My joints creak. I lose a fraction of eyesight as each year passes. I got lost on my own street the other night. I'm a burden on him. She loses herself for a moment, staring at the back of your neck and your right arm. And her thoughts stray from your discussion. She begins to look sad. A few minutes later, you reach their destination. You pull up to the sidewalk. Your passenger plunges her hands into her bag and stops. What if... She shakes her head. No, forget it. She pays the fare. As she's putting her wallet back in her bag, she hands you a bill. A 100-euro bill. Would you mind using this money to take Yves to a hotel? I don't have the will to do it myself. We need to put an end to this. He deserves someone else. Her proposition leaves you speechless for a while. I'm serious. Out of the question. Why not? You are a very attractive woman. It appears you're both doing very well for yourselves, judging by the place I picked you up and where you live. I don't know if he loves you, and I couldn't care less, to tell you the truth. But, I can't think of anyone who deserves to be left behind in a taxi like that. The lines on her face fade in the dark. And I'm really a bit insulted by your request. But let's move on. I'm putting it away. The money goes back in her bag. A car passes on your left and pulls over next to you. The driver asks if you're leaving soon. Yeah, 1 minute. You turn to your passenger. I've gotta go. You should do the same. She seems horrified by her behavior. I'm so sorry. You wave her off. It's nothing. No big deal. A second later, she's walking into her place, holding on to her partner. He hasn't even woken up. You smile, wondering what he must have dreamed about. You like to have similar dreams. You let the other car pull in and go back to your shift. Could have made a lot of money, but it wouldn't have been worth it. Alright, where do we go from here? Any suspects? Nope. Now, have we met all these people before? I don't recognize you. And I want to say we haven't met him. Yeah, I was going to say, I know we met you. And I'm pretty sure we met her before as well. Oh, maybe not. She's just one of those faces that constantly rocks up. Interesting. Well, let's pick you up. You're pretty close. Actually, I should go to the gas station first, since we're on our way. And then maybe we pick her up instead. No. I wanted to go to the gas station. Oh, the customer totally changed. A familiar smell tickles your nose. You turn around just in time to see a little ghost appear on the back seat of your taxi. He remains still as he watches you. Nice to see you again, my friend. You sigh. Him again. His presence makes you ill at ease, but you've stopped trying to find an explanation for his apparitions. You start driving. The Arnesis de Paris, please. You jump. You see the specter behind you, seated in his usual spot. His silhouette seems warm and kind. 49 Rue Monge, I think. Come on, get going. I don't want to miss the beginning of the show. The show? Well, yes. The amphitheater show. You don't answer, and are evidently surprised. There's a room in an amphitheater in Paris. Are you not aware of this? A Roman amphitheater. The amphitheater is right in the middle of the Latin Quarter. Hidden, mysterious, and very discreet. Yet one night I heard music, and I followed the scent. The scent of garum filled the streets that evening as cooks busily worked around the fire. Garum. A sauce made from fermented fish offal. You gag. It's delicious. I assure you it's delicious. The smell of garum goes right through to your head. Makes you salivate. In any case, once you taste it, you love it. Anyway, I was walking towards the amphitheater. The little ghost pauses, trying to remember where he left off. I entered the gate and saw all of Paris before me. For 2,000 years, the spirits of the city have gathered there to reenact the festivities of days gone by. No poet with gapped teeth recites a few words. Always the same passage. We bring fighters into the middle of the ring to reenact Roman battles. He smiles slightly. My mother would scold me for saying this, but the bear always triumphs over the Christian. You are struck by a strange smell. Garum, maybe. Sour, thick vinegary. Repulsive and compelling. Your small passenger silhouette begins to fade. You, living. You only see things on the surface, their edges, their crests. The amphitheater is tied to the earth like it has roots. It's not going anywhere. Ever. Its roots run beneath the city. They touch speed limit markers, houses, cobblestones, Roman baths. He stops, breathe. The salty taste in your mouth is making you thirsty. All the way to Rome. I would have liked to go to Rome. He lifts his hand to point something in the distance. I'll get off there. Before he can make the slightest move, the little ghost disappears in a split second. You stop the cab and take a minute to collect yourself. Well, I was trying to go to the gas station. Let's see if we have any people that we need to pick up. I mean, we do, but let's head to the fuel depot. You pull over and stop at a gas station. Not a soul in sight. The fluorescent lights irritate your eyes, and the smell of pee is wafting up from the space in between the pumps. It's self-service here. You pay directly at the pumps. The mini-mart over there, it must sell newspapers. The person behind the counter must see and hear things. Might be worth asking a couple of questions. This place makes you nervous. All you want is to get back into your warm cab. Let's fill this up. Jeez. Ridiculous. You walk into the mini-mart. Behind the counter, a student doing his homework lazily raises his head. Yes? Let's actually try one of these. Wow. Now that's the kind of news you like to get. This serial killer business is crazy. The clerk cuts you off, pointing an angry finger at the newspapers on display in front of him. Have you seen how much the police suck at catching him? You smile and let him keep talking. Not a word from the guy behind the counter. You, on the other hand, curse automatically as you put one foot out into the freezing cold. Okay, well, we got stuff out of that. You get into your taxi and drive away. Now, depending on who shows up, probably will just read the paper. Maybe find some evidence. Hopefully. He points at the newspaper after all. You pull a newspaper out of your glove compartment and start leafing through it. Eventually, something grabs your eye. You glance at a critique of the great Alicia Cleff's latest collection of poetry. The critic seems convinced, but is curious to know what might have inspired her to write this masterpiece. You turn the page and stop. You read about a third of the newspaper. You stop reading and go back a few pages. You thought you saw something. It's a short article mentioning the strike led by a handful of employees of Confiseries du Marais, a luxury candy brand. Employees demand better wages. The owners, Groupe de Mont, are threatening to relocate their factories abroad. Only have a third left to read. As soon as you get to the page, you stop. Instinct tells you to look at... It's a rather positive critique of a bar called Celisle's. You make a note of the information with interest. In your line of work, that kind of thing can always come in handy. You shut the paper. It'll end up in the trash tonight. If you remember, it's there, otherwise you'll spend the rest of its days in your glove compartment. I feel like we've read some of those before. Well, where should we go? Where should we go? Well, have we talked to this individual? I want to say no. Shinji Kurumada. Your next passenger is waiting on the sidewalk with an enormous suitcase next to him. You get out of the cab, pick up the suitcase, which must weigh 45 kilos at the very least, and put it in the trunk. You get back in, with your passenger close on your heels. The door slams shut. You turn the key in the ignition and look up at your passenger. Charles de Gaulle, right? He nods and you start driving. It's still pretty early to be getting on a plane. You must be the type that likes to get there well ahead of time. Japanese, Chinese, you're not sure. You smile. Tourists always have such a magical image of Paris. There's almost no traffic, and you're able to drive at a decent speed. Behind you, in the rearview mirror, you can see the tip of the Eiffel Tower start to appear. He keeps staring at you with an annoyed expression. He obviously doesn't understand. His voice is frank with a dose of exhaustion. Okay, it's Japanese, sure now. He imitates the sound of a plane taking off. You think you may have recognized the name of the airport. Airport? Hi. Airport. He nods. Aeroporto to X. He turns away so vehemently. You understand he wants to be left in peace. He wants calm and silence. You hear him mumbling to himself. His voice is deep and heavy. Baka. Shibaka baka baka. Kisama. ちょっと待てよ。He takes a short pause to swallow his spit. 何度もごめんなさい。ありがとうございます。さよなら。The tone of his voice makes you think he's making a list of all the things he hated. Topo koto somosoi? Koroi. Sumo midasai. He mumbles on and on. Dotto bayo. What? Kimi Soka. Kimi Soka. He's made the sound before. Kimi Soka Mateo. Third time. Oporio Kimi wa. You immediately recognize the word. Versales. Hi. Versales. Hi, Versales. He bursts out laughing. Versales Tumoa. Topokomoa. Kimito. Not about the bio. He glances at you. Komoa? You don't understand. Como do tomateo? Hey? You get the impression he wants you to repeat what he's saying. Opo-to-mio. He nods. Opo-imio. Como? He falls back into his seat, his eyes closed. He doesn't want to speak to you anymore. You've had passengers who didn't speak any French before, but this one seems furious. Maybe he didn't like Paris. Maybe he prefers Tokyo. You smile. For just a second, you imagine yourself as a taxi driver in Tokyo. Businessman, well-dressed, high schoolers, those Japanese mobsters. What are they called again? You keep driving. You think about the movie you saw during your hospital stay. A black American soldier on the run who starts hanging out with some sort of bum who was a huge jazz fan. It was a singular movie, incredible. It made a real impression on you. The title was... no, you can't remember the title. And how can you possibly describe it to your passenger? Yeah, impossible. What a shame you can't speak his language. What a shame not to understand him, not to be able to talk to him about it. You sigh. Maybe later, you'll have time to learn Japanese. It's probably hard, not the same alphabet, not the same letters, but then again, your parents could read in Arabic and write in French. So you could too? Yeah, later. You'll have time. And then, here you are at the airport. A heap of ramps and tunnels brings you to the drop-off zone. You pull to a stop, and your client wakes up. You notice the airport, a few taxis, your own fatigue. He starts talking peacefully in a soft voice. Arigato gozaimasu. Komo toko. Natabayo. Kimi wa tomo kama. He shakes his head. Okay. Okay. He pays his fare with a twinge of shame. You get out of your taxi and help him get his suitcase out of the trunk. It weighs a ton. He thanks you with a sad look of defeat. He grabs onto your sleeve as you try to get back into your car. Arigato gozaimashita. You nod very slowly. No, thank you. He looks over you slowly, from head to toe. When he starts speaking again, his voice is monotone and completely void of emotion. Baka baka no ki umedasai. Something inside you resonates like you understood what he just said. Komo taku 9. He lost someone, his wife maybe. He looks upset. Kimi wa mateo. He shakes his head. He should have come with someone. Tomo ti senpai. If only you could understand him. Toto. He bows. When he straightens up, his eyes are misty. I don't know why, but it seems normal to reply. You're welcome. He walks away with his huge suitcase. Without looking back, your passenger goes into the airport. The sliding glass doors close behind him. You start to realize the airport is waking up all around you. A woman who must have been a Viking in another life is pushing a floor waxer across the tiles in the entryway, just below the heating vents. A fellow driver waves as he's leaving off the drop zone. A plane, maybe the first one of the day, appears in the sky. You get back in your taxi. For a minute you rub your freezing hands together to warm them up. Just a few seconds before driving off. Jeez. That was nutty. It was nutty because I didn't understand a word he said. I was kind of just saying some Japanese dialogue and some that clearly wasn't. But that is a good spot for us to leave off. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed today's episode of us hanging out with some customers, pick up some newspapers. Seen the ghost kid again for some reason because the kid literally just pops up now. And yeah, if you guys did like it, feel free to leave a like, leave a comment, tell me what you think of today's episode. And if you're new to my channel, or been watching me for a little while and you haven't done so, and you like what you see, feel free to subscribe to me, MadSquash924, and don't forget to ring the bell to get notified of my latest videos. On the next episode, we'll try to finish the day off, get some evidence, hopefully find out who the killer is, and then go from there. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.